Good evening everybody, and welcome to round 2 of the RRL GT3 Masters Championship. Today we will be racing at the Twin Ring Motegi in Asia. Not a very known or popular circuit, but we are sure the drivers will give us a great race to watch. So that will be our main course for today. In about half an hour we have 14 minutes left until the qualifying session starts, 15 minutes of qualifying, and then we will have a 60-minute race here at Twin Ring Motegi. First of all, let's go through the details for this championship and for these races. This is a fortnightly championship, so every 2 weeks we have these races. They will all be streamed and commentated by myself. So if you like what you see today, make sure to subscribe and like our channel to get notified of future videos. We have 8 rounds of racing, so you're hopping in right at the beginning of this championship. We'll get into the first season opener in a bit. We will be running the GT3 and ADAC classes in various race lengths in this championship. Drivers could choose between the Audi R8 LMS, BMW M6, Callaway Corvette C7, McLaren 650S, Mercedes AMG, and the Porsche 911. In this championship, as always, as in all our championships, we have a Drivers' Championship, of course, a Teams' Championship, which is also pretty common, and we also have an AM Cup, more on that later. And we have an Ironman Championship, which takes into account the laps completed throughout the whole series and disregards any race winners. So those people just close to winning races or getting podiums, but not there yet, they can really fight for that Ironman Championship. And this championship also, well, is an attempt to avoid any non-finishers due to incidents at the start of the race, for example. So this is an incentive for everybody to just keep going. And then in terms of multipliers today, we always have a 2x multiplier on the tires, which will see some interesting strategies, as we saw last race at Shanghai. As I said, a 15-minute qualifying session, and for today we only have a 60-minute race, which is one of the shorter races together with Suhai for round 6, and we have varying race lengths. So Shanghai last week, or 2 weeks ago, sorry, was 90 minutes. In 2 weeks time we're going to Imola also for a 90-minute race. We have Sachsenring, 75 minutes, then so Slovakia GP 100-minute race. Bathurst, Suhai we already said, Bathurst will be a 75-minute race on the 13th of November, and then the Nürburgring will finish this season off with a 100-minute race. So different race lengths which will play into different strategies for this series. So that's our introduction for today and for this series. Last time around we went to the Shanghai Formula 1 circuit. We had 32 drivers showing up for the first race of the season, which is always nice to see. It's almost everybody. And these were the final standings there. And Robert Horvat took the win at Shanghai. Our reigning GT3 champion took the win, so quick started his new GT3 championship winning campaign. He finished in front of Vlastimir Lukas and Nemanja Manojlovic on the podium. And a lot of tight racing was there to be found, a lot of drama as well. Nuno Miguel Abreu, for example, finishing in 21st, led the first part of the race, but then due to issues in the pits could not defend the race win with his pace. Also other drivers like Nikos Papamichail, for example, had good pace and were running well for a podium spot, but hit some trouble in the strategy, pitted one too many times and ended up in P8. So great racing was there. If you want to see it for yourself, then just yeah, get on our channel and watch that race after this one, because it's a good race. It's a good race. Then, of course, first race results translate into championship standings. Nothing too special in the Drivers' Championship. Everybody in their finishing order, but we'll see how that table looks like in 2 weeks' time after this one. Most importantly, we wanted to talk about the AM Cup. So there you see 17 drivers currently entered in the AM Cup, and those are all drivers that never get any podium positions in RRLeagues racing. So any driver not getting any podiums yet is automatically entered into the AM Cup, and drivers can choose to opt out of that championship if they wish. Any drivers that had a freak podium in a special race, for example, can ask to be put into the AM Cup at the admin's discretion. So we actually have 2 races going on today. A overall race for P1 in the podiums, but we also need to keep an eye on these names in the AM Cup there to see how it's shaping up there. The AM Cup race at Shanghai was won by Jürgen Walby, followed by Sascha Schult, and they finished in 5th position and 9th position, and then followed by Jody Barraclaw finishing in 12th. So a bit spread out. Good race for Jürgen Walby. First race at RRL, finishing in P5, which is a very strong showing. And then for the team's championship, for the moment it's 77 versus BH Racing. We've not put up the Ironman championship table because, well, after one race that doesn't really say much. So for today, the race is held at the Twin Ring Motegi. A race maybe not too known for anyone, but it does provide some good racing with these GT3 circuits. Its name comes from the facility having 2 racetracks, so a twin ring. It's an oval mixed with a road course, and it was built only in 1997, so it's not a very old circuit. NASCAR has raced here on this circuit, so on the oval at least. So we'll see what this road course brings, and we'll discover this circuit together with you, because I have never driven it so far in my life, but I'm looking forward to seeing these top drivers challenge this circuit and giving it their all. So before we dive into the practice times that the guys are setting at the moment, we're 31 and counting at the moment, so that's a good showing for now. Maybe some more drivers will show up and we'll get a completely full grid. We also run some other championships. We have another race room championship in DTM, which is run on Sundays, which will run the coming Sunday. Will be round 2 of that championship with 55-minute races and also 8 rounds. And then we also have an R Factor 2 championship, BTCC, running all UK circuits available. So also 8 rounds, 2 sprint races with a reverse top 10 grid. So if you want to join us for any of these 2 championships or this GT3 championship, feel free to sign up. The DTM and the GT3 championship are fully subscribed, but there is always some dropouts, as we also saw today. There were 3 reserve drivers, so 39 drivers signed up, and those 3 reserve drivers will be joining us on the grid today. So that's always nice that if you cannot make it to the race, just announce it, and then someone else can pick up your place. So finally, some moving images of the cars as we see Peter Hindle going across the finish line. He's in P23 at the moment. Robert Horvath in P10 at the moment in the yellow-green Porsche 911, our race winner at Shanghai. Currently it's Nemanja Manojlovic setting the pace with a 148.7, and looking at the leaderboard times, the top time for any GT3 class car is a 147.2, so there's still quite a way off that, but that time was set quite a long time ago, and in the Mercedes AMG. So we'll see what the guys bring. David Dore is right there with Manojlovic. Sascha Schultz, also Jürgen Walby is very, very close. So as we end the practice session here, let's have a quick look at an onboard with one of the drivers. Let's have a look at a track map. Nope, that's not working. So David Dore hard braking for a 180-degree turn, double apex, right-hander, another straight, and then hard braking for another double apex, a left-hander, also 180 degrees. So good opportunities there to pass, and if you don't get a good exit through that those double corners, then you could be in trouble. Now hard braking here for a bit of a hairpin, a bit tighter, but wide at the exit, so you can get on the power quite early, and a flat out kink to the right, and a fast S left right chicane. Quite a bit of braking needed there, and then get it set up for the short straight here into another hairpin braking. So, and you see also the track is quite wide, so there is quite some opportunities for passing. And almost getting to the end of the lap, hard braking for another hairpin, 180 degrees, and then the longest straight of the circuit. Downhill, and braking for a 90-degree right-hander. Brake as late as you can, flick it in under the bridge, and then a double apex left-hander. Almost flat out the first part at least, braking for the second part, and then through a chicane to get onto the start-finish straight with 10 seconds to go in the session. We will move into the qualifying session. I will be right there with you in just a couple of seconds. So here's David Dore. He was out of the pits in first spot, but led by, I think it's Nuno Miguel Abreu. Yes, it is. So he will start his flying lap as the first driver. Nope, sorry, that's not him. Stefano Merazzi either. It is Abreu. Sorry for that. Car in front was a back marker just coming out of the pit, so a 29.4 in the first sector for Nuno Miguel Abreu. He took pole position at Shanghai, so he knows what to do with the car, and he knows how to put it on pole position. Nuno joining us last season in our R Factor 2 series, and well, doing very well there, getting some podium spots and getting into the top 5 of the final standings. So he is one to watch. He did also keep behind all the top runners for a big portion of the Shanghai race, the first half hour at least. So he does have the pace to do something special. Let's see if Twin Ring Motegi is the place for him to do it. Hard braking there for that hairpin at the end of the lap. 57.1 for the second sector. Then that left right chicane and getting onto the main straight. What kind of lap time will he set? Will not be a bad one. 49.1. So first time over the line of 1:49.1 for Nuno Miguel Abreu, and the rest of the times coming in. Nuno staying at the top at the moment. So with 31 drivers on the track today, it will be a case of finding a good spot to put in your laps, as Manojlovic puts in a 48.8 to grab provisional pole position, and Jan Stenneker up into P2. Had a good race in Shanghai, and looks like he will be building on that with some good momentum for him. All the times now coming in. Evgeny Lazarenko, for example, one of those drivers. Janusz Migas now with a 1:48.5, so going a lot quicker than Manojlovic and Stenneker. And Migas, if I'm not mistaken, but I am. I thought he was in the AM Cup, but he is not. No, he's not. So he already had a career podium. Let's see where that was. Yeah, he got a second spot in the DTM 92 series last time around at Spa-Francorchamps. So that's why he's not in the AM Cup in this series. Janusz Migas, provisional pole position at the moment. And David Dore in second position for now. Puts his car 2.5 tenths behind Nuno Miguel Abreu, now setting purple sector times. So David Dore setting a purple sector, first sector. Let's see what he did. A 29.5 versus a 29.4, a 57.0 for Abreu. So he does 2 purple sectors, and he's almost, well, not yet, but almost at the end of the lap here. Stefano Merazzi as well, going quicker, so everybody settling in as we are already halfway through this session. Sorry. Let's see what Abreu does through this last section. Flicks it in on the power, and he stops the car. Very weird move by Abreu there. I think he cut the track or something, I don't know, or he didn't want to set that fast of a lap time so early. Let's hope he can take that, get that pace again in another lap, because he was looking for provisional pole position. Meanwhile, Janusz Migas at the moment still in first position with a 148.5. And Jan Steneker just a tiny bit off in sector 1, a purple sector 2, so he will be improving from P5 if he keeps it up in the final sector himself. Everybody setting some good lap times. In terms of, yeah, Manojlovic going into second position. In terms of the AM Cup, we have a quick look. Andre Mol, Nick Phillips. So it's Nick Phillips currently taking pole position, and a 46.3 for Steneker, keeping him in 5th position at the moment. So he didn't improve in the end. Vlastimir Lucas, green sectors for him. Over the line, and will he improve from 19th? I think he will. Up into 7th position. Very well done there by Vlastimir Lucas. Jürgen Walby in the bright yellow Mercedes AMG, setting some good sector times and having a bit of a tow there from the Corvette in front, possibly. He will probably improve from P19 as well, and look at how close the times are getting now. 1.5 seconds separating the top 20. Walby over the line. He will be improving from 19th to 11th position for him, within a second of pole position. Now back to Abreu, a 29.3 for the first sector, but Janusz Migas is also quick in the first sector, 29.4, so a bit slower than Miguel Abreu. Let's follow these two guys around. Manojlovic and Dore not improving at the moment. Andre Mol is. Purple second sector there for Miguel Abreu, 57.1. It's Migas doing 57.7, so he dropped back with the pace. Will Miguel Abreu finish his lap this time? We have 4 minutes to go, and as always, as we have repeated so many times, when the timer hits 0, it's session over, so you will not be able to finish your lap. So through the final section comes Miguel Abreu. He has 3/10 to put up. Dore improving out of nowhere, a 48.4. Abreu over the line, 48.3. He takes the provisional pole position. Let's have a look at Robert Horvat, setting green times, but no purple ones, so he's in P6, which is okay. He is our reigning champion, so let's see what he can do. Can he improve? He's 7/10 back, so He wants to get a bit closer to the front if he really wants to put pressure on the other guys. So an improvement there, I think. Yeah, Walby up into P5 now. So he's now the first. Oh, and a bit of a cut there by Horvat. Let's see if his lap time will stand. P6, P7 at the moment. And he stays in P7. So Abreu from Dora from Migash within 1.5 of a second. Manojlovic, he's in P4, setting green sector times, so slightly improving, but he needs to make up 0.2 of a second to improve his position. If you guys have any questions about our league, about the race, about the drivers, let us know in the comments section, and I'll try to have a little peek from time to time and answer any questions you might have. But 2 minutes to go. Manojlovic crosses the line. Phillips up into P5. Not an improvement for Manojlovic, but Abreu did improve. Sorry, we missed that. A 47.9, so getting closer to that all-time leaderboard time. Sasha Schult up into P9 for him at the moment. Nick Phillips, as I said, P5. He's the first one of the AM Cup Drivers Championship leader. Robert Horvat only down in P8 and almost over a second back from Miguel Abreu. Can anyone still challenge him? Forsberg is setting green sector times for him. Steneker still in 7th. He's also setting green times, but nobody really coming close to the sector times of Miguel Abreu. 29.3, 56.9 for the second sector. Janos Migas, he's also green sector 2, heartbreaking for the hairpin. Well, no, for the 90-degree kink there at the end of the lap. Will he improve his position? That will be tough, as the session almost ends. Let's see if there are still any changes to this running order. Yes, Migash takes P2 from David Dore with a 48.3, so still 0.4 back. And Nick Phillips, followed by Jürgen Walby and André Mol. That's our top 3 for the AM Cup. So a great qualifying session. Nuno Miguel Abreu dominating the field. Let's see if he can do the same for the race start here. Let me take a quick drink and I'll be with you in about 30 seconds. So 10 seconds to grid up for these guys. Still in the pits. Need to go now. So the lights are on. Green light and away we go. Think it's a good start for Nuno Miguel Abreu. Bit of a tap between Dore and Migash, but we get through turn 1 safely. Let's have a quick look at the back. Yes, good driving by everybody there, and everybody gets through turn 1 cleanly, so that's great. 4 wide there here at the back. But very well done to negotiate these two 180-degree turns for these 31 drivers. Miguel Abreu keeps first position. We have Ben Reynolds and Valentino Rossi. Seems like they didn't get away from the grid. A shame. We made, I think Valentino joined us at the last moment, but at the end couldn't join the grid in time. So a good start for everybody, and that's what we always say in the briefing. That's what you get. You now have 30 drivers separated by 15 seconds. A whole stream of cars. If we go to P13 we have cars. If we go to P22 we have cars all over and battles all over. And that's why we don't want to see any big incidents on lap 1. It makes the racing that much more enjoyable for everybody. Actually, Boss missing his front splitter and bonnet. Let's see if he can make it to the pits safely and recover that car. Also, David Kochka had an incident, missing his front splitter. He will need to get into the pits as well. Big shame there for him. Meanwhile, Jürgen Walby, we didn't really see that on camera probably, but he got up into P5 and he's now our AM Cup leader. Nick Phillips is 2 spots back in the orange Audi. Ralph Arella, Robert Horvat's teammate, trying to go around the outside of Nikos Papamichail, but that is easier said than done. So already onto lap 2 for these guys. And with the long straights and the tight corners, there are, as I said, quite some opportunities to make up for lost ground and make passes. As Peter Hindle goes for the inside on Olman Morales. RG Bargy, he gets through. Olman will not be happy with that, that's for sure. Olman getting onto the grass here as well now. Want to try and get back on Peter Hindle, but needs to opt out of it. At the front, Janusz Migas, just under a second from Nuno Miguel Abreu, who's stretching his legs. A 53.8, no, 49.4 for Abreu, 49.8 for Migas and Dore. So Abreu currently setting the pace, and there's a bit of a gap between P3, the top 3 and the rest of the field already. So the field now slowly spreading out. Nigel Wood, side by side he was with Callum Morgan and Clive Britton in the Falcon Motorsports BMW M6. So in this 60-minute race, I expect to see a one-stop strategy. Was a bit touch and go in the last race. 2 stops, 3 stops, or even 1 stop. Were some different strategies playing out. If I'm honest, I think for this race there's only one strategy to go with, and that's a one-stop strategy. Meanwhile, Robert Horvat is sandwiched between Jürgen Walby and Nick Phillips, the 2 AM drivers, which are obviously not that rookie anymore, and Nemanja Manojlovic is holding these guys up. This is the closest battle on track, 4-way battle for P4. Corvette versus Mercedes versus Porsche versus Audi. Looking back from Manojlovic. There's the two bright green and yellow Mercedes and Porsches behind. You will see them immediately when looking in his rearview mirror, that's for sure. So the top three into the 49s on the last lap. All the rest of the field in the 50s and 51s, more or less. So the top three a bit in a class of their own. It's getting very, very close now as I see Jody Barraclaw into the barriers and retiring from this race. Very unfortunate for this newcomer. He joins Ben Reynolds and Valentino Rossi in the pits for this race. But, well, he can start watching the stream then and commentate on his adventures here. Manojlovic really looking to hold these guys up. Walby, Horvat, Phillips, they are right behind, and Migash closing down on Abreu, so he obviously made a bit of a mistake because that gap was quite a bit bigger. Let's monitor that gap at the front and see if Nuno Miguel Abreu is just losing pace or maybe just pushing that hard that he makes some mistakes from time to time. Steve Carman is fighting with Ethan Kearley. Porsche versus Corvette. But let's go back to these guys. Robert Horvat wants to get through for P5, it seems. This will be a better camera angle to catch the whole battle, the four-way battle for P4. Simon Fillingham, meanwhile, in P26, fighting his way up the grid with Peter Hindle. Steve Carman, looks like, yeah, he got past Ethan Kearley. He got past, and Simon Fillingham in the 650S, following the BMW of Peter Hindle around. Can he make a pass? There's too much action to catch it all at once. And the timing screen is glitching a bit from time to time, unfortunately, but nothing too shabby. So Fillingham going through on Peter Hindle. There's a big battle brewing here as well. Oh, Jorgen Walby. He's back down into 9th position, so dropped from that four-way battle for P4. Not sure what happened there, but he's down into P9 now. Let me quickly check the AMP Cup. Yeah, Stefano Merazzi is one of them, so we have Phillips in 1st for the AMP Cup. Then we have Jorgen Walby in 9th and Stefano Merazzi in 11th spot for that championship. Marko Talevski dropping back. He's stranded on the outside of the 90-degree right-hander at the end of the lap. Not sure what happened there. Doesn't seem to be damaged, but he is stopped on the track. Anyway, the four-way battle has become a three-way battle, but Manojlovic is still at the front. He had a great result at Shanghai P3 after a good consistent race and good strategy, which gained him that spot. The gap to Vlastimir Lukas is not that big, that's for sure. From the front splitter of Nick Phillips, that looks like this final section, very tricky. And to get your nose pointed in and hit those apexes through that last section to get a good exit onto main straight. And then you have 3 long straights here and then hard braking zones. Late braking, looks like the Audi is very late on the brakes. Janusz Migas, meanwhile, half a second only between him and Miguel Abreu. So that's absolutely nothing. As we have 48 minutes to go, let's have a quick look at the battle for the lead. 2 Mercedes at the front. So Janos after his second spot in the BMW V Merc 92 series last time around. Now looking for maybe another podium, but the race is still very long. So let's see what happens there. Daniel O'Brien side by side with Jack Camaletto, and he takes the position from the McLaren 650S. We have Callum Morgan, Simon Fillingham's teammate, trying to get past Nigel Wood. We have Ethan Kearley right behind Simon Fillingham. We have Ralph Arella in P13 trying to get past Nikos Papamichail. That's a battle that has been brewing before. Guys trying to make this right hand kink as wide as possible, and then a good run through that final section, flat out first, and then flick it in for both apexes of the chicane. Looks like Marcin Bos, he's in the pits, still with no splitter, but he keeps going. So we have 28 drivers still running at the moment. Let's have a quick look through the field. So we have Miguel Abreu from Janusz Migas all together. David Dore is a lonely third, let's say. He has a 3-second gap in front and 3 behind. Then we have Manojlovic in P4 with Horvat and Phillips right behind, as we can see here. Then we have Vlastimir Lukas. He's the cork in the bottle, let's say, in front of Jorgen Walby, Peter Bacchus, and also Henk-Jan Stenneker. Those are covered by about 2 seconds. We see them in the screen at the moment. Then Stefano Merazzi is in 11th position, 4 seconds back. He's in front of Papamichail and Arella. That's a battle that we saw already as well. And Andre Mol, he's right in front of Jas Forsberg in the Corvette. Jas going very wide there. Can he have a good run? Yes, he can. Let's stay with him for just a second. See if he can make a pass. He's 3/10 behind, so probably a bit too far back. And then we have Clive Britton right with these guys. Nigel Wood a bit behind, followed by Callum Morgan. Good performance from him. 18th spot at the moment, and still a long race ahead. P19 is for Yevgeny Lazarenko, and now the gaps are getting a little bit bigger here at the far end of the grid. Jack Camaletto in 20th position, and Daniel O'Brien is right there with him. Steve Carman is 13 seconds back, and he has Simon Fillingham right on his tail. Ethan Kearley is also right there with them. Peter Hindle right behind, as you can see. Then Olman Morales in P26. in the Porsche. Marcin Bos without his front splitter in 27th, and David Kochka coming out of the pits. And in P28, Barraclaw, Reynolds and Rossi are in the pits and will not rejoin this race again. Meanwhile, this battle here at the front. And as we see, as you see in the comments, Ben Reynolds, one of those drivers in the pits, could not make it to the grid as his, or could not start the race at least, as his wheel disconnected. So those are those technical failures that you can get with sim racing. But the good thing is you don't need to wait a whole year. You can just join us once again in 2 weeks' time for another race. So big shame for Ben Reynolds, but I'm sure he will be back for the Imola race in 2 weeks' time. So looks like things have settled down a bit. Battles are still very, very close. We have this three-way battle here. Janusz Migas still keeping Miguel Abreu honest. And well, those pit stops in about 15 minutes, I'm suspecting, maybe a bit earlier. Those will be crucial. We saw in the Shanghai race that the undercut did some wonders for some drivers. So let's see if anyone tries that here and maybe pits in about 7 minutes, more or less, a bit early, and gets some good speed from his tires in those first few laps and gets track position. That is an option. David Dorre is firmly in P3, still within reach of the top two, but he has a bit less space. Fastest car on the track is Janusz Migas with a best lap of a 48.6, and that's a 48.8 for Nuno Miguel Abreu, and those are the only two drivers into the 48s as a best lap. So oh, Nick Phillips, we just missed that. Nick Phillips got past Robert Horvat, so I think Horvat tried to make a move on Manojlovic, didn't quite stick, and lost out, so he's now down into P6. Jürgen Walby dropped further back down to P13, sorry, so he couldn't get past Vlastimir Lucas and paid the price for it, unfortunately. Can Nick make a move? He is in first place for the AM Cup. Second place is Stefano Merazzi. Jürgen Walby dropped back down to P3 in that championship for this race. So as you can see, the AM Cup can be on-track battles, but a lot of times they're just driving around, battling with Pro Cup drivers and some positions in between them, but that doesn't make it more or less stressful, that's for sure. Nick Phillips, he wants to get past Manojlovic, of course, but he also needs to keep an eye out on his competition for the AM Cup, and doesn't want to make any mistakes to give Merazzi or Walby the chance to get closer once again. You want to win your class and then do as best as you can in the overall standings, that's for sure. Vlastimir Lucas, right under the gearbox of Peter Backus. Looks like the BMW has a bit more grunt there at the end of the straight. Yeah, hard braking for Lucas. There's a bit of a tap there on Backus, but keep it clean. Can he get a good run here through the last section? Good, but not a lot better than Bakus, who goes defensive. That was rather pro forma, that was not necessary. But that double apex really catching out some guys. It's very possible to get up the inside there, for example, and just put your opponent hanging on the outside and losing track position. Meanwhile, our reigning champion in P6, which is of course not a bad position to be in. He is very much on the pace, and everything is still for grabs. Oh, very late braking there by Robert. I don't think he was really attempting to make a move there. Just a bit too late braking. Maybe lost some visibility with Nick Phillips in front. Very wide there to open up this corner. Oh, he might make a move here. This will compromise Nick's entry into this final section, so Robert could benefit from this. Yes. Oh, can he go to the inside? Yes, he can. Now he needs to get a good braking for turn 1, but Nick is still in front. The Audi is some good pace, but Robert puts his Porsche on the inside and gets the pass done almost, but there's a left-hander coming up, so I think Nick will keep P5. Robert Horvat around the outside of Nick Phillips. Very well done. Next up is a right-hander, so Horvat has a... that was close with Olma Morales, I think. But finally Horvat gets back through on Nick Phillips. That has allowed Manojlovic to creep away ever so slightly. Meanwhile, the gap at the front has grown to 2.5 seconds. But Horvat proving why he is our reigning GT3 champion. I am his teammate in our BTCC championship, and he's a very good driver, that's for sure. Meanwhile, Ralph Arella still behind Nikos Papamichael already now for 20 minutes, looking at the back of that Callaway Corvette. And even closer. Oh, a bit of a tap there. Arella and Papamichael. Papamichael still staying in front. As you can see behind here, it's André Mol defending from Walby. Walby going through. Forsberg wants to get through as well. André Mol also an AM Cup driver, so he wanted to defend against Walby, that's for sure. But a four-way battle. Oh, Horvat is... he pits early, so no worries. An early pit stop for Horvat, exactly 7 minutes later than I said it. So can he benefit from this undercut? We'll have to see about that. A nice view of this this pack here. Ralph Arella and Papamichael. Horvat gets going again in clean air, I think. Oh! Horvat gets a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Very unfortunate for him. That will lose him heaps of time after, well, having a good idea, I think, to get the undercut on Manojlovic and get that P4. Now we'll have to drive through the penalty, drive through the pits once again in 3 laps time, I think. So that will lose him some time. Pit lane is not that long here. Have a quick look. It's not very long, but still he will lose 10-15 seconds at least and put him down outside of the top 10, I fear. But let's see what that brings in the end. So meanwhile, Nick Phillips still in first in the AM Cup. Merazzi in 11th, battling Walby in P12, head to head for the AM Cup P2 and P3. And Lucas on the inside of Bacchus in turn 1. Lucas gets through in the Audi. Can Bacchus do anything? Henk-Jan Stenneker is right there with them to take advantage. Oh, Henk-Jan braking very, very late. Wants to go around the outside, but that's not something Bacchus lets you do very easily. Oh, collision between Stenneker and Bacchus, but they both get going. Fortunate for both drivers. I was just going to say that the Audi is looking very good on the brakes. So the Audi drivers, if they can get close to any guys. Oh, and another drive-through penalty for Horvat. Or is that the same one? We'll have to see. I think he did his pit stop or his drive-through just now, but sped once again. So going from bad to worse there for Horvat. Can Ralph Arella make it stick? On the inside of Papa Michael. Oh, very late dive to the inside for Papa Michael. He's going into pits. Yeah, into the pits for Papa Michael. Horvat still running, P22 for him at the moment. I'm guessing he will get into the pits once again at the end of this lap. So now he will really suffer, and I think struggle to get into the top 20 once the pit cycle has gone. The gap at the front, visually, half of a straight. It's about 4 seconds between Abreu and Migash. Papa Michael coming out of the pits. Let's have a quick look at Arella in a bit to see if he jumps in at the next opportunity to not let Papa Michael get a good undercut. Only getting 1 lap maybe is not enough, so we'll have to see what he does. Meanwhile, Henk-Jan Stenneker, he is up into P7, still behind Peter Bacchus, who is still right behind Vlastimir Lucas. Here they are. And Arella at the end of his lap. Where is Horvat? I think Horvat left the server. Don't see him here. He was in 22nd just now. Horvat will not finish this race, it seems. So Arella, as expected, in the pits. Let's have a look where Papa Michael is. He's coming up at the end of the lap. So Dora he did already pit. He's now in P14. He was in P3. I have to keep an eye on him and see. Arella gets going. Papa Michael is on main straight. And Papa Michael stays in front and has an even bigger gap, so the undercut is something to watch out for. That's for sure. David Dore versus Daniel O'Brien. David goes through, so David looking good. He was in P3, so let's see if he had a good stop there, right at the middle of this twin ring Motegi race. Peter Hindel in the last pit box. Janusz Migas now in the pits. Pits earlier than Nuno Miguel Abreu. Peter Hindel also getting a drive-through penalty. He is down in 23rd, and he will lose some more time. But Migas in the pits. Vlastimir Lucas, oh, he had some kind of incident. He's missing a splitter, a bonnet. Oh boy. That's not good. Let's see if any more drivers get drive-through penalties. Looks like the pit entry here is not that easy. Migas down and away he goes. Lucas gets back his front splitter and gets going again, but I think he lost quite a bit of time. O'Brien is in, Clive Britton is in. So the pit cycle now really starting to take effect. And Papa Michael is now chasing down Vlastimir Lucas. He just came out of the pits, so Papa Michael wants to make a move early, as Lucas is still warming up his tires. See, Miguel Abreu, he is also in the pits. Daniel O'Brien speeding in the pit lane. Guys, I think these late pit stoppers will be extra careful not to get any drive-through penalties for speeding, because already 4 or 5 drivers getting a penalty. That's not what you want to see. Nemanja Manojlovic now into P1 provisionally. We have to see who are we looking for. David Dore. Oh, Migas had a slow pit stop because he came out behind Dore. Only just noticed that. And Nuno Miguel Abreu, our race leader, gets a drive-through penalty. I was just saying you would need to be careful. And there you go, a drive-through penalty for Nuno Miguel Abreu. So this will spice things up even more. There was quite a bit of a gap to David Dore in second. That gap is now 5 seconds only. Also Peter Bacchus getting a penalty. Oh, penalties left, right and center. The guys need to be careful here. This is not the first time they have made a pit stop, that's for sure. Miguel Abreu, Bacchus, yeah, that's something we saw already. And now very difficult. Guys on old tires, guys that have just pitted, all together now. Nemanja Manojlovic has not pitted yet, I think. So he still needs to pit. Only wondering if Miguel Abreu will pit at the end of this lap. I think he will have to. And then David Dore will be in P1. He had his pit stop, no penalty yet. So yeah, let's see. Nigel Wood now just in front of Miguel Abreu. And he dives into the pits. Let's hope it was not too quick. Very tight pit lane, but yeah, you want to gain as much time as you can. Stefano Merazzi in the pits. Good position in the AM Cup. Let's follow up where he ends up. So a drive through for Miguel Abreu. I think he will be battling with Migash. So only losing one position for Abreu. But Migash, he is already not close enough to make a pass. So 12 seconds between Dore and Migash to battle for first position. So Dore, as I said, a lonely race, flawless race from him. Now needs to get past Callum Morgan in a safe way, and he does. So good run, as I said already, for Callum Morgan. He will drop back when he does his pit stop, but still he will be happy with himself with that first half of the race. Everything now a bit mixed up, so cannot really draw any conclusions from the current running order. The only thing is, Callum Morgan, Nigel Wood, Jas Forsberg, Henk-Jan Stenneker, Nemanja Manojlovic, they still have to pit, and they are leaving it quite late. But with the 2x multiplier on the tires, it might be wise to get some fresher tires at the end, or some of these guys might be trying to double stint and not stop at all. Anyway, Nigel Wood, he comes in, but Stenneker, Forsberg and Manojlovic, they are staying out. Forsberg and Manojlovic are teammates in the Corvettes, so that could make sense in this case, that they have tested this and opted for that strategy. For Jas Forsberg, it's not looking great if he doesn't want to stop again, but Nemanja Manojlovic has a 30+ second gap to race leader David Dore, so if he can keep his tires in running order until the end of the race, he has a good chance of winning this one. But well, 20 minutes is still a very, very long time for him to not make any pits. Meanwhile, Arella, he is being chased by Phillips and Moll, but he has closed down the gap on Papa Michael. Remember, he was a bit further down after the pit stops, about 4 seconds. That gap has been brought down to about 1 second, 1.5 seconds. So Arella has some pace advantage over Papa Michael, 2 seconds in the last lap. So just a slow lap with traffic probably for Papa Michael has closed this battle right up. So let's just assume these guys are not pitting anymore, which could be the case. Then looking at the AM Cup standings, we have Nick Phillips in first, half a second in front of André Moll and 2 seconds in front of Walby. So our AM Cup top 3 separated by about 3 seconds, which is always great to see. Callum Morgan is also with those guys. Let me double check. Yeah, Callum is right there, and he is firmly in first place in this case. So let's see if he still needs to pit. Well, he will want to pit, but if the strategists say it's best to stay out, you try to nurse your tires and just stay out. Having a look at last lap times, it's a 48.9 for David Dore, 52.1 for Nemanja Manojlovic. So 2 seconds between those, 3 seconds even between those times, then it can go very, very fast. Nuno Abreu versus Callum Morgan. Callum lets Nuno Miguel through. And now David Dore has already closed up on Jas Forsberg, who will... It's looking like he will let him through, although his teammate is in first. Jas needs to try and defend as much as he can, but he needs to let David through with his fresher tires. So David Dore now up into P3 and a 28-second gap, 29-second gap to the front. Yeah, I really think Steniker and Manojlovic will be trying to just ride it out to the end of this race. 2 seconds quicker, David Dore on this last lap, as you can see. And he has 28 seconds to make up. That means, well, 14 laps. There's no time for 14 laps, that's for sure. So he needs the tires of Manojlovic and Steniker, especially Manojlovic, to drop off the cliff significantly to make this work. Walby versus Mol to get into the top 3 of the AM Cup for Walby. Oh, Callum Morgan, no, that's a battle within the podium for these two, because Callum Morgan did make a pit. He's now down in 16th position. So we have Phillips, Mol, Walby and Merazzi all battling for position behind Ralph Arella. That was Ethan Kearley in the Corvette. Yeah, he's in P24 and moving out of the way. So we have that 4-way battle there in front, and then we have Walby versus Mol. Gap down to 26 seconds. So the gap between Manojlovic and Steniker growing very, very slightly, but the gap to Dore coming down very quickly. And the gap between Dore and Abreu is now only 7 seconds. It was 12 seconds. So on the last lap, a 48.1 for Abreu, a 49 for Dore, so 1 second quicker for Nuno Miguel Abreu. We'll have to see if he can get close again after his drive-through penalty. And once again, if you have any questions about our league, about our different championships, these drivers or this series, then feel free to ask away in the comments, and we'll try to delve into your questions when we can. This battle for the AM Cup podium is really spicing up. Jürgen Walby versus Andre Mol. Again, 2 Mercedes. "26 drivers still running here today." Marcin Bos closing down the runners. Nuno Miguel Abreu going around the outside of Jas Forsberg. There was some more cooperation needed there from both parties. Bit of a forceful move by Abreu, but he's through, and I don't think Forsberg was very damaged by that. At least let's hope so. Yeah, well, now we missed it. Walby got past Andre Mol, so for the M Cup. It's now Phillips, Walby and Mol. Very, very closely together. Walby, he has some pace advantage over Phillips in terms of best lap time, but last lap times are looking a bit slower due to the fight with Andre. Let's see if Walby can win another M Cup race, because he did win at Shanghai in front of Sascha Schult, who I've not seen today, but he was, I think he was on the grid. Looks like he already dropped out. Can't see him here in the list. No. Meanwhile, the gap at the front down to 20 seconds now, with 13 minutes to go, and only 5 seconds between Dore and Stenneker. So Dore is quite certain to get P2, but will he be able to get P1? That will be the question. And can Nuno Abreu challenge him for that P2 or P1 spot? Still Papa Michael keeping behind Ralph Arella, but Ralph, as we said, he was quite a bit behind. I think 4 or 5 seconds. He's now right there with him, so Ralph normally has some pace, but it's one thing to get close and another thing to get past, as we all know. So let's see what this Corvette versus Porsche versus Audi of Nick Phillips battle brings us. Jürgen Walby, meanwhile, getting a bit closer. Dore gaining about 2.5 seconds per lap on Manojlovic at the moment. If he can keep this up, Manojlovic, it should work out for him, but I'm just fearing that at some point his tires will say no more, and he'll have to dive into the pits with flat tires. Let's see what happens there. I don't think this track is particularly easy on the tires, with all those long turns and fast changes of direction here. So that is something to watch. The gap down to 19 seconds. Dore now 2.5 seconds behind Stenneker. And Jas Forsberg also trying to make that strategy work. He has Janusz Migas right behind. He did pit, Janusz. So 3 seconds of pace difference between these two over a single lap. So Forsberg will probably lose this position to Migas. Maybe not now. Well, yes, he does. Forsberg knows it doesn't make sense to battle, but goes for the inside anyway. He just needs to take care of his tires, nothing else. David Dore under the bridge. He has Stenneker right in front, and the gap is down to 15 seconds approximately for the front. Miguel Abreu 5 seconds behind Dore. So Dore wants to get through as quickly as he can now, because this is where he will lose his pace advantage over Manojlovic, and this will bring Abreu closer to him very quickly. This is benefiting Manojlovic. Guess there's a bit of camaraderie between the guys that are now struggling with their tires to get them to the end. Only 9 minutes left. This is not an eternity, but Steneker is doing an absolutely great job in keeping David Dore behind. He's probably ruining his tires as we speak, but doing a very good job to try and hold on to that second position, which is sheer impossible for the next 9 minutes. But Dore up the inside with a late move, but no issues there. Dorgan is on the inside now. No, sorry, Dorgan is on the outside, so still defending. Henk-Jan still defending. And Miguel Abreu is right there, 1 second behind. We see him on the screen here. This battle will be heating up, and yeah, well, if Manojlovic can keep his tires alive, looks like this this will be a winning strategy. But he will have to pay a beer to Steneker, because he's really helping him out at the moment. I'm expecting some drama here, to be honest. Just a quick note, Arella got past Papa Michael. So Nick Phillips is behind Arella. Papa Michael is 2 spots back. Oh, Steneker still holding on to P2. This is great to watch. Very, very, very frustrating for Dore, who's losing a bit of concentration, it seems. Will he lose out to Miguel Abreu? He's on the inside, and he will take second position, well, third position provisionally. So Dore losing out a lot by his fellow staff member here, Henk-Jan Steneker. There will be some words on the private forum, that's for sure. Meanwhile, the gap to the front still 16 seconds. Can Abreu do what Dore couldn't and get past Steneker quickly? Forsberg still in P6, making it work. Vlastimir Lucas is 3 seconds behind. So that will be close there at the end. Nick Phillips is in first in the AM Cup. Jürgen Walby in second, and André Mol. Oh, bit of an incident there between Steneker and Abreu. That leaves David Dore through. Sorry, I was watching the timing screens, didn't catch that in real time. But Dore through in the end. 6 minutes left for a 16-minute gap. This will have to be a very, very special one if Dore wants to win this race. I think Abreu a bit too impatient there to get past Steneker, and having a small collision. Steneker, what a job! What a good job he is doing, defending, making that Audi 5 meters wide across the track, and trying to keep it alive. Meanwhile, just a quick look here. Callum Morgan versus his teammate Simon Fillingham, both in the 650S. Objective Racing. Oh, and Fillingham goes wide into the gravel, loses the position to his teammate. Gets going again. Yevgeny Lazarenko is right there to take P17 away from Fillingham. So very unfortunate, but now Steneker needs to let Abreu go, and that will break his confidence. But still, he needs to hold on for another 4 minutes plus the remaining lap, and Migash is only 3.5 seconds behind. That will not be an easy task. Vlastimil is now right behind Jas Forsberg, as we can see here. Forsberg, a non-stopper. Vlastimil with fresher rubber, so that will probably one of the easier passes of tonight for Lucas. He's missing his left front light. Late braking with the Audi. Forsberg turning in a little bit too early there, but down to P7. That's nothing to complain about in my book. Meanwhile, the battle for the AM Cup lead is also within 1 second. Walby, Phillips, both in the bright yellow-green Porsche and Mercedes. Walby going for the inside line. That would have been a very late move, so sorry, Walby stays in front. Sorry, I'm blind. This is Walby versus Arella. So Walby getting past Arella, and I'm putting Arella between him and his rival Nick Phillips for the AM Cup. That's what you want to have here at the end of the race. Someone to guard your back, give you a bit of breathing space to get away. So Forsberg is right in front of these guys, but 7 seconds will be quite a lot to gain in 2 minutes. The gap at the front is 15 seconds, so I think Manojlovic has this one in the books if he doesn't make any big mistakes. I'm not sure how critical the tires going to 0% is. Will it just break your tires and make them go boom? Oh, that's Stenneke. I think getting into the pits. I think his tires gave up, so we could still see a bit of drama here. Manojlovic. 1 minute and 40 seconds to go, so that means when he crosses the line now, that's his final lap. Can he hold on? Stenneke still in the pits, and oh, he's losing out so many positions. Very unfortunate for him. Good race, but he will rejoin in P15. Still a good try for him. Just have to see the body language of that Corvette. Will it hold? Will it hold? 11 seconds. Manojlovic needs to go for all or nothing, I think. If he pits, he loses 45 seconds and he ends up, well, just inside the top 10 maybe. This is the final lap of the race for Nemanja Manojlovic. Can he keep it steady? He has an 11-second gap, so he doesn't need to do anything stupid. He gained his good finishing position in Shanghai due to strategy, and he might just win this one on strategy once again. Strategy and skill, because it's not an easy task to run 60 minutes on one set of tires around a relatively unknown track, let's say. This is not a track you have done thousands of laps on, and make that strategy work. Still 10 seconds between them. Everything still looking fine for him. So go on board. How does that sound? Sounds good. Just rolling through the corners, not putting any too much stress onto those tires. Into the final sector. There's only a couple of corners left for Manojlovic. Stenneke into the pits once again, it seems, or at least he was standing still. That will be it. 10-second gap. This will not go wrong for Manojlovic. Nemanja Manojlovic takes the win at Twin Ring Motegi for round 2 of the RRL GT3 Championship. Very well done, sir. David Dore and Nuno Miguel Abreu across the line in 2nd and 3rd. Janusz Migas, also on main straight, will finish in P4. Very good job, Vlastimir Lucas. A solid race for him. P5, Jas Forsberg made it work as well. Looks like he's going to the end. Yes, he does. Jürgen Walby right behind him. He will finish first once again in the AM Cup. So another P1 for Jürgen Walby. Ralph Arella, followed by Nick Phillips, second in the AM Cup. Nikos Papamichail, and then Andrei Mol, third in the AM Cup. Stefano Merazzi was right there with him. P4 in the AM Cup. Peter Bacchus going slowly, it seems, getting passed by Clive Britton there in the last corner of the race. Clive also slow. Clive, I think, finished in front of Peter. Callum Morgan then in P15. Fillingham will finish behind his teammate in P16. Then Lazarenko P17, Nigel Wood in P18, Henk-Jan Stenneke finishing in P19 after being in P2 for so long. Very unfortunate to see, but this is some great potential for Stenneke in the upcoming races. He's one to watch for the top 5 positions, I think. Daniel O'Brien, P20, Steve Carman in P21, and here's the full race result. Race winner Nemanja Manojlovic, Miguel Abreu with the fastest lap of the race of 48.1. Very fast lap for him. These are the complete standings. I was at Steve Carman, followed by Jack Camaletto, Peter Hindle and Ethan Kearley down into P24. Marcin Bos, final finisher of this race. David Kochka and Sasha Schult, Horvat, Talevski, Baraklaw, Morales, Reynolds and Rossi not finishing this race. We know some of the dramas they had, but not all, so I hope they tell us on the forum afterwards, so we get that insight and we can talk about it in 2 weeks' time when we're traveling to Imola, to the legendary Imola GP circuit, for a 90-minute race. So another race like Shanghai with different strategies. We saw a non-stopper pay off here for 60 minutes. So there will probably be quite a lot of guys trying to one-stop that 90-minute race, which should be doable, but there might be some guys thinking otherwise, so that will be interesting to see. So for today, it's congratulations to Nemanja Manojlovic, congratulations to Jürgen Walby for their respective race wins in their classes. Many thanks to all of you watching today. If you liked what you see, you can always subscribe to our channel and you will be notified of any future streams or videos that we put out. if you want to get racing with us, and that's what we eventually want. We prefer racers over watchers, but still, if you want to get racing with us, just head on over to rrleagues.com or just look us up on social media, and we'll be in touch very quickly. And you can get racing with us in this series. If you want to be broadcast, become famous, you can always also race in the DTM Championship. That's a race room series, and our BTCC R Factor 2 series is still has some spots left. So all that's left for me now is saying goodbye. Congratulations to the 32 drivers contesting this race, and see you in 2 weeks' time for another stream at Imola for the RRL GT3 Masters. Have a good night, and see you later.